Jayden Daniels has shown the world that he is a top quarterback in this league. Now, with that being said, I was like, he's on his rookie contract. And so that means you ain't got time. You got to do things and get things done. And that's why I think that they should be taking a hard look at the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cincinnati Bengals, why should they do this? Why should they look at this organization out of all places and whatnot? And I was like, the reason I say that is because I was like, he's sort of in his Joe Burrow-esque of a time. And what I mean by that is, Burrow, I was like, came on the scene. He looked like the real deal. Got hurt, but in his second year, I was like, and they got Jamar Chase. I was like, I was like up since then, and to the point where it's like, hey, Cincinnati found themselves in the Super Bowl. They found themselves into the AFC championship game, a game away from getting back to the Super Bowl. And then you sort of see how it's like, since then it's been like late starts. And it's like, oh, they sort of stay. Are they able to get into the playoff? They not able to get into the playoff. Oh, they almost so close. They almost not. The defense letting them down. The offense is humming. And the reason I say looking at them is because I'm somebody that thinks you can learn from things if they're good and if they're bad. It doesn't have to. I was like, everybody just thinks that in order to be successful, you got to see successful things. You got to get the successful recipe. You got to get all this other stuff. Well, sometimes it might just take some mistakes to get to that. Maybe you mess up the recipe a couple times, you figure out what works. I was like, you can get the right recipe and still be like, it don't taste right, and you gotta add some stuff here and there to make it taste good. I was like, or you could just see somebody just really messing up and be like, alright, I'm not gonna put it that high because that thing will burn. And I feel like the same thing with Cincinnati. And what I mean by this is that Cincinnati right now is over here talking about, hey, we're gonna try our best to keep all three of our players, Trey Henderson, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. Now, will they be able to keep all three of them? Maybe. I was like, this is Cincinnati we talking about, and they tend to be really cheap with their stuff. And while you want to keep Joe Burrow healthy, now who would that be? Who would that three be? To me, I was like, Jamar Chase is the only one technically still underneath contract from his rookie deal. So he's the easiest. Higgins is a free agent. Henderson is a free agent. So they could franchise tag one of them, all this other stuff. Now, the reason I say that they should learn from Cincinnati is for the success and the failures that we've seen with Cincinnati. Cincinnati decided to be like, hey, I know we got T. Higgins, but we're gonna go get his boy Jamar Chase. Cool, let's pump up this offense. I was like, go get Joe Burrow more weapons. They was like, this offensive line was garbage. You know what? We're gonna get another offensive lineman, even if it was for a small amount of time. Where it was like it's like cool. Now we got Orlando Brown at least for that amount of time. So it's like they were trying stuff, and right now it's like, oh, nobody didn't believe in Henderson, so guess what? We're going to go get him. I was like, and that defense at that time had a lot of people that were really kind of cast off from other teams. So like they were really taking a risk, and it just happened to be, especially that year they were like good enough to get, where like they've been poor this last couple of years. But so what I'm saying is that, hey, while you got Jayden Daniels, you got a first round pick, I was like, hey, you got the money. Use it while you can. Get another receiver, update that offensive line, add some defensive players on that side that are very impactful while you can. And because this is also where I was like, where it does become the situation where Cincinnati sort of messed up is that they never went fully all in. Once you make that sort of Super Bowl, and even I was like, you go all in. And then by then, you had to pay Joe Burrow, which sort of puts you in a predicament that once you sort of have to pay that your quarterback, because that means not everybody can get paid. You can't go after everybody. We've even seen it with something where they had to cut Joe Mixon just because, where it's like, you don't think that Joe Mixon would have been really good on this team, especially when there was times where it was like I was like, even though Jamar Chase was getting his numbers and stuff, the offense wasn't humming I was like, it was humming good, but I was like, there was like lulls and stuff. It took a while for Brown to really get Chase Brown to really get going as a actual threat and stuff like that. The offensive line, whereas like with Mixon being a veteran, I was like, in the way he runs and he running out, I was like, with his playing style, I was like, he would have worked for that type of, with that system or whatever, where you wouldn't have to wait necessarily for Brown to get going. But they had to make they had to make those type of cuts. And so the same thing here, where it's like, hey, they got him on his rookie. They got Jayden Daniels on his rookie contract. Go ahead and go all in. Now, what that might look like, that's sort of more up in the air. Cause while I was like, I've even did it right. I was like on a video about where Myles Garrett should go. I said the Commanders. A lot more people are coming across that. But at the same time, do you want to be giving up the draft capital to get Myles Garrett when I don't think you're a Myles Garrett away? You get what I'm saying? Like, it makes sense for Myles Garrett to go to the Lions. They got every spot pretty much plugged and filled with also young contracts too, where their draft capital they could send out. Whereas like you don't want to really do that maybe if you're the Commanders because maybe it's another year away. But that is a target that you can get that is also very impactful on the defense that changes whoever you get on that defense. I was like, it makes Luvu a lot more impactful. I was like the corner where it's Lattimore and I was like the dude from Michigan. They're not just left out on islands the whole time and needing to shut down people. So I was like, it impacts the whole team. I was like, it made Payne and Allen if they stay. I was like even more because now you're double teaming Garrett, singling them two dudes up, which sort of is like almost Eagle-esque, where it's like you have to double team Carter, which allows Sweat and allows Smith to get after the quarterback. So would you go that route? Or you got a bevy of picks to where it's like, okay, cool. Maybe we can use our money to sign somebody else. You know, and also make Fowler a lot more capable well, too. Because we've seen Fowler's best days is when he has somebody else to rock with. Von Miller. I'm pretty sure he played with the Von Miller squad. But I was like Aaron Donald, basically. So I was like, it would impact that whole defense. I was like, but do you want to use the draft capital for something like that and then use your money to get another receiver? Maybe you get most of them aren't really free agents as much as the same way at trading for them. So do you want to use your draft capital, say like instead of trying to trade 1 and a 3 and a 2 or whatever it is for Myles Garrett, you trade another pick to get like Cooper Kupp or Debo or something like that, where you got the money to also plug them in to where like you want to do stuff like that. So I'm saying like this is the time. You ain't gotta wait. You've already seen that they get to the base of the championship game. You don't have to wait. You already boom. We got the quarterback. Let's go all in. Why not? Who's real? I was like also in the NFC. Who else is really in your way other than the Eagles? We don't know what's gonna happen with Minnesota. I was like Dallas in your own division. You don't even know about that. I was like the Rams. I was like, we don't know what's gonna happen with the quarterback, and if he does stay, we still don't know. You still don't know that situation at all. I was like the Lions is still there. They come back from injury. Maybe we'll see how them losing the coordinators affects them. I was like, it's really just the Eagles, and why not? I was like, why cannot be you? Go all in. I was like, learn from the Bengals of going in, but going fully in. I was like, and actually get somebody that you can plug in around here while you still got Daniels for another 4 years. It just makes the most sense. Because once that contract up, everything's a lot harder to deal with. So go ahead and improve the team, whether it's through the draft. If you want to double down on spots, go ahead. You want to use your money on whatever. You want to get one singular big piece, cool. I really suggest probably going for offensive. Probably would say offensive line and a pass rusher. I think that's where they really need to go. I think you can with Brown. You bring Crowder back cheaply. I was like, you bring Noah Brown. I was like, oh man, they got 2 Browns on their team. I was like, you can bring them all back cheaply and still probably get another person to be like their number 2. I was like, and on defense, they pretty much had a really good squad. They came on better as of late during the year, but I do think they need another impactful person on that squad, and I think they're also are pretty good to go. So that's why I said I was like, those two spots align on either side is where they need to go. But either way, I was like, I think that's the best comp for them to learn from. You sort of see it a little bit with the Texans, where the Texans did try to, where they went out and grabbed a Stephon Diggs. They got a Danielle Hunter. I was like, because they already had some spots where like Will Anderson and they had Stingley and stuff like that. So you sort of seen that they got Nico. So it's like you already seen like they already had pieces in play. They found out that's their quarterback, so they went also fully in. Go ahead. I was like, do the same thing as well. Anyway, I was like, what do y'all think? Mainly Commander fans. I was like, go all in. I was like, but just know that I was like, best and worst case scenario is the Bengals in all of this. You got so close when you did sort of go all in, and then you had to pay the quarterback, and it sort of made it a lot more tougher as you see right now. Anyway, until next time, I'm out.